All right. Don't mind the location. In the United Club at SFO. It's Thanksgiving tomorrow. Happy Thanksgiving to everybody. But every single time that I have a chance, we have to come live, give you the latest 49ers news and the first look at 49ers Bills. It was a busy day of practice. I'm sure you've seen some of the update videos. If you haven't, I'll get you acclimated to what happened today as soon as we take a look at what waits in front of the 49ers on Sunday. This is the 49ers Bills first look, and the title is, do the 49ers even have a chance against Josh Allen's Bills? Well, if Brock Purdy doesn't play, I'm going to err on the side of no. They don't have much of a chance against the Bills. But that Brock Purdy might play. We don't know yet. He didn't throw at practice today. It's unclear if that was part of the 49ers' plan for this week or if they got derailed after Monday's throwing session. More on that in a little bit. These are the team tiers. X-axis is offense. Y-axis is defense. As you can tell, Buffalo is one of the top teams in the league. Now, Buffalo is not an elite team. I think there's one of those so far. That's the Detroit Lions. But Buffalo is pretty damn close to being an elite team. And Josh Allen has that offense firing on all cylinders behind only Baltimore's offense. But the Bills are playing better defense. A couple weeks ago, this was an exciting game to look forward to if you're the 49ers, because if people had actually been healthy, if the quarterback had been healthy, then it could have been a nice measuring stick for the 49ers against the very best of the league as they're trying to claw their way back into that conversation. Now it's more of a game to be afraid of if you're a 49ers fan. Again, you look at where Buffalo is, and they are one of the top in the league. And the 49ers also still have to play the Detroit Lions. That's coming up in about a month on December 30th at Levi's Stadium. So plenty of tests coming for the 49ers, but they do have to find a way to be healthier to legitimately handle these. So talking about what happened today for San Francisco, they had Brock Purdy back out on the practice field, but Brock did not throw. I am not sure if that was the plan. Kyle Shanahan would not elaborate any details when we spoke with him before practice. We do know that Brock threw in a very light fashion on Monday and that they are hoping to work him back in this week. And maybe him being at practice and just watching today was part of working him in. Last week, they didn't have him throw on Wednesday either, and they tried to throw him on Thursday, and that's when he exited. So I don't know. And tomorrow there is no media availability because it's Thanksgiving. So that's just going to be in the fog of war for now. We won't know. Dre Greenlaw is back, and the video of Dre with the 49ers is up at practice today. Dre moving fine, working with Fred Warner, and Fred Warner's dealing with a broken ankle, which is news today as well. It is unbelievable how much this 49ers team has gone through this year. We could look at the injury report as it stands right now and be staggered by it and say, okay, this feels a lot like 2020 since Brock Purdy is out. But beyond that, I mean, Ricky Pearsall got shot in the chest on August 31st. Deebo Samuel has been in the hospital with pneumonia right after a game this season that he tried to play in, but obviously couldn't move forward because he was feeling so bad. Charvarius Ward is back in the locker room, but he went through the biggest tragedy of all, right, that the 49ers have had to deal with. And Charvarius Ward's family has had to deal with. His 1-year-old daughter, Amani Joy, passed away. All this stuff has happened on the heels of an offseason where the 49ers saw Brandon Ayuk hold out, sit on a contract offer for 3 weeks before finally signing it. The same contract offer that Brandon Ayuk ultimately signed was the same one the 49ers had offered 3 weeks before. So there you go, 3 weeks of offseason wasted. And then Brandon Ayuk later tore his ACL. That's been part of all this adversity. Obviously, Trent Williams held out throughout the course of training camp as well. I mean, it's just thing after thing after thing for the 49ers has afflicted this team. And that's all coming off the Super Bowl loss, which is always a devastating thing to go through, and 60 games over the past 3 seasons. So it really is staggering to consider everything that the 49ers have dealt with. And Christian McCaffrey today said it best. All we can do is keep chopping wood. Just keep chopping wood, and you hope that some things break into your favor. Even if mathematically things get harder and harder every week when you're trying to imagine a potential playoff run for this team or a Super Bowl championship or whatever, even then you have to realize that 2024 does not operate in a vacuum. A lot of what the 2019 49ers did when they went all the way to the Super Bowl, they credited 2017 and 2018 and the attitude that they brought through those losing seasons for building the foundation into 2019. I think that a lot of the mettle the 49ers showed in 2021 when they weren't nearly as good of a team as they were in 2022 and 2023, but they still were able to grit their way to the NFC Championship game. I think a lot of that helped them push through on the runs of 2022 and 2023 when the going got hard. So you cannot look at these seasons as vacuums where anything that happens in 2024 can't possibly carry over until 2025. That's not the right way of looking at it, especially for a franchise that has prided itself on building the right culture in the locker room. And I think that's why guys like Christian McCaffrey are so process oriented right now with their approach. It is one day at a time for the 49ers. And regardless of whether or not they're favorites or underdogs, and this week they're 7-point underdogs against, again, a very, very good Bills team. This is going to be a really hard game for the 49ers to win, especially if they don't have Brock Purdy. San Francisco is focusing on the big picture. I have a wild prediction this week. I'm predicting the 49ers to lose to the Bills. I'm also predicting the entire NFC West to lose on Sunday. Seattle is heading to New York, and the Jets are coming off a bye week. The Seahawks are favored by like 1.5 points. But I think the bye week is something the Jets really needed, the aging Jets with Aaron Rodgers at quarterback. So Seattle right now is probably playing the best football in the NFC West. But just like the 49ers, they have to play a team coming off its bye week. The Rams are in the same boat. They are traveling to New Orleans, and the Rams have to play a Saints team coming off its bye week. And the Rams aren't playing good football right now. So I think the Saints, who have been playing better, Derek Carr is back now, I think the Saints are going to win that game. That's my prediction. Then you've got the Arizona Cardinals, who share the division lead with the Seattle Seahawks. They're headed to Minnesota. I think the Arizona Cardinals are going to lose to the Vikings on the road. They're underdogs, and, Minnesota hasn't been playing as well as they played in the past, but we can look at the team tier rankings here. Look at this. The matchup is Minnesota. That is a tier 3 team up here. Really good defense, slightly above average offense with Sam Darnold, against Arizona, who's got a better offense, but they're worse defensively. They're in a lower tier. So we could see why Minnesota is favored over Arizona. Look at Seattle and the Jets. Very similar profiles, right? They're right next to each other. But again, the Jets have the advantage because they're coming off the bye week and they're at home. So Seattle has to travel cross country, Seattle all the way to probably they're landing in Newark, I would guess, for that game in New Jersey. And then it's the Saints and the Rams, same tier for the Saints and the Rams. Saints have got a better defense. The Rams have got a better offense, but they're in the same diagonal tier. Again, the Saints have the benefit of a bye week. So the NFC West's mediocrity is helping the 49ers stay afloat. And I think that the mediocrity is set to continue. I will predict, and you guys can come back to this, maybe I'll be wrong, but I'm going to say here, I'm going to predict the entire NFC West is going to lose this weekend. If that's the case, then the 49ers will still technically be one game back, and they'll be 5-7, and there'll be 5 to play, and the schedule will actually ease up considerably. They won't be playing the Buffalo Bills anymore. They'll be playing the Chicago Bears, who are right here. If the 49ers have Brock Purdy, I think they're clearly a better team than the Bears, and I think that they're better than the Rams if they have Brock Purdy. They obviously blew that game against the Rams in week 3, and that was terribly damaging. But you look at the next 2 for the 49ers after this one, and those could be wins. So this is it's wild because the division has been so bad that even through everything, the 49ers might still have a shot. And would they be one and done in the playoffs? maybe I don't know what kind of health they would be in if they made it to the playoffs. Nobody knows anything right now. Everybody makes these big, broad assertions. You don't know if, Jared Goff can get hurt. Josh Allen could get hurt. Saquon Barkley could get hurt. I mean, this is the NFL. Fred Warner is currently playing on a broken ankle. You don't know what somebody's going to be playing through and how that might impact their performance. It could be a superstar. It could be a really influential player. You don't know what the situation is going to be in January, which is why it'd be foolish to just pack things up and act like the season's over right now. These things are way too unpredictable. All you can do is set yourself up for the best possible chance to succeed. And then you have to, sometimes the chips have to fall your way. I think to win a title, you have to have a semblance of luck, which makes the 49ers losing the Super Bowl last year such a devastating thing. I rewatched one of my videos from before the Super Bowl a couple nights before, where I gave an injury report and I said, guys, the 49ers are completely healthy. There's absolutely nobody on the injury report. They had a golden opportunity against the Kansas City Chiefs last year with a healthy roster entering that game, and it all came crashing down. And where it first started going bad for the 49ers, where this bad run of luck, this horrific nightmare year started, was when Dre Greenlaw tore his Achilles running out onto the field. So today was the day that Dre was back out on the field about 9 months later. Not bad for an Achilles return. I mean, these used to be career enders. I feel like the Achilles is almost becoming the new ACL, and the ACL is, I don't want to call it a sprain, but it's much less severe than it used to be. It used to be that ACLs would end careers. Then the technology medically improved to the point where ACLs no longer end careers. And then, there was a window there where Achilles were the injuries that ended careers, or at least definitely compromised the player as far as never being able to return to 100% of what he used to be explosiveness wise. But I think that may not be the case anymore. And the fact that Dre Greenlaw was back out at practice today, just about 9 months after tearing his Achilles during that Super Bowl, running out onto the field against the Kansas City Chiefs, that's a really, really good sign in the potential return of Dre Greenlaw. They've got a 3-week window now for Dre. So this is not something where it's a massive rush to get him back out onto the field. He still's on the PUP list. It's physically unable to perform. And San Francisco is going to have an entire 3 weeks to determine what to do. And if he responds well in practice, well, he's going to be back out on that field. Maybe they can take some pressure off Fred Warner that way, since Warner's been playing through the broken ankle and getting shot up every week. So I am going to update this right in front of you. Purdy, obviously, shaded in pink for the injury. Brandon Allen would again start in his place if Purdy does not play on Sunday. 49ers running back room, I think, generally healthy, although somebody said they saw Jordan Mason still kind of favoring his arm or his shoulder whenever he comes off the field. I can't verify that the shoulder is still bothering him, but that's what somebody noticed. So it is worth mentioning. Obviously, that's something that Jordan Mason was fighting through when the workload was much heavier before Christian McCaffrey returned. Jacob Cowing today, I think he's through the concussion protocol. I need to very, very quickly double check on that. Maybe we can take Jacob Cowing off of the injury shading on this list. Full participation for Jacob Cowing. So yes, he is out of concussion protocol. Tight end position healthy for the 49ers. Trent Williams, this is some rougher news. Last week I saw him with a boot at the 49ers facility on the left ankle. Today he was in one of those knee scooters, not putting any pressure whatsoever on his left ankle. Nick Bosa was talking with Trent Williams for a while. They shared a hug in the locker room. I mean, it's been a tough year for the 49ers. They haven't ruled Trent Williams out for Sunday. They haven't ruled Nick Bosa out for Sunday. Bosa said he's doing a little bit better, but he's not sure if he's going to be ready yet. He's not going to practice this week. Neither is Trent Williams. Maybe, especially if Brock Purdy does end up going, they can push these to game time decisions, especially the one with Williams. But the fact that he's on a scooter in the locker room, not able to or not willing to put any weight on that ankle, not a good sign. Aaron Banks is in the concussion protocol for the 49ers, their left guard. Today, the 49ers made a signing at offensive line to the practice squad, which I can add to the roster right now. They signed Cam Irving, who was previously with the Houston Texans practice squad. So we look at the roster, 15 practice squad spots were taken. Cam Irving, we can add him to right tackle, but he's also been playing some guard. So here you go with Cam Irving. I talked to him today at his locker. He said he's been playing some guard over in Houston at practice, obviously, because he was only on the practice squad. 32-year-old veteran, has actually played center before, but it's been mainly guard and tackle since then. In games, tackle. And you see this is where Irving fits in. I'm circling my cursor around his name, with Aaron Banks dealing with an injury right now, with Trent Williams dealing with an injury. Cam Irving gives the 49ers at least another practice body. And this is a guy who's been around the league and has played his share of snaps. Houston runs essentially the same formula as the 49ers offensively with the coaching staff crossover. So there is a chance that Cam Irving can be plugged into the 49ers lineup if need be. On defense for San Francisco, Bosa out, Jordan Elliott out, Kevin Givens back at practice, so we could take away the injury shade finally for Kevin Givens. If Jordan Elliott concussion protocol is unable to go for San Francisco, at least they get a defensive tackle back to help them through this game, which might be a snow game in Buffalo. I'm going to add Fred Warner to the injury shade because he's playing through a fractured ankle. And that's probably not going to fully heal until he has some time to take away. Probably not till this offseason. So how tough is Fred Warner? Now you're getting a better picture of how limited the 49ers have been with these injuries. Charvarius Ward was back to full participation in practice. Obviously, such a sad situation with Charvarius Ward and the passing of his daughter. So the 49ers giving him time to reacclimate to the flow of things. Deommodore Lenoir, knee injury. So we just added him to the injury shading for the 49ers. If Lenoir can't go, then the 49ers will probably run with, they're hoping Charvarius Ward can go this week, but obviously Renardo Green and Isaac Yiadom are their top two other cornerbacks who are available. Rock Ya-Sin has played quite a bit for the 49ers recently. He saw some action last week after Renardo Green hurt his neck, but Green was back out at practice today in a limited capacity. All right, I just clicked on my article for the San Francisco Standard. Here you go. It is now up. You can go check this out. I'm going to toss this over to Mike so he can put it into the description. The headline is about, well, it's about Brock Purdy not throwing. It's about Dre Greenlaw returning and Fred Warner battling the foot injury. If you want to take a quick peek into practice, here we go. This is the 49ers quarterback room with Brock Purdy in the back. Right there behind Josh Dobbs. Purdy, that's basically what he was doing during the media window today. Hands in his pockets, watching. During some of the warm-up sessions, Purdy was doing some of the footwork drills and mimicking, as much as he could without throwing. But again, last Wednesday he didn't throw either. He tried to throw on Thursday. I don't know if it's going to be the same pattern for the 49ers this year. If it is, then we won't know how tomorrow goes because practice is going to be closed to the media since it is Thanksgiving. But that was Purdy operating with the quarterbacks at practice. We can now look at Dre Greenlaw working at practice for the 49ers. This is a welcome sight. And there he is with Fred Warner, who's been playing through that broken foot. Green 57 and 54 back on the field simultaneously. First time since February before the Super Bowl at practice. And from what I've seen, Greenlaw's moving around fine. I've seen him shooting hoops in the locker room over the past couple months. So he's obviously been chomping at the bit to get out there. And I think the 9 months in between Achilles tear and being back out of practice, that's a testament to how good of an athlete Dre Greenlaw is and how hard of a worker he is. And, the fact that Fred Warner's doing what he's doing on the screen right now through a broken ankle, That's also a testament to how good of an athlete, how hard of a worker Fred Warner is, and how tough he is. Has to get shot up, he said, before every game with those painkillers to get back out there. But it has impacted Warner's play, and it is emblematic of this very, very difficult 49ers season. They do hope that the return of Dre Greenlaw at some point here over the next 3 weeks or so does alleviate some pressure from Fred Warner. Greenlaw's been such a physical mainstay for the 49ers. I think it's very obvious they're missing him on that second level. Every time I see Greenlaw throw at practice, I am reminded that he's a lefty. And look, here he is playing receiver for the 49ers. Maybe they can use Fred as well. So that's the article up on the San Francisco Standard. Make sure you go check it out. There's your picture of Fred Warner. And I have to tell you that this show is sponsored by BetterHelp. We're talking about how thankful we are for Mike. Well, we remain thankful for Mike. And along with Mike, there's another person we don't get to thank enough, ourselves. It's sometimes hard to remind ourselves that we're trying our best to make sense of everything. And in this crazy world, that isn't easy. Here's a reminder to send some thanks to the people in your life, including yourself. If you're thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. Just fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist and switch therapists anytime for no additional charge. Let the gratitude flow with BetterHelp. Visit betterhelp.com/Lombardi Lounge today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/Lombardi Lounge. Any questions? Maybe have a couple minutes for some questions. Then I am going to get rolling. So let's get into that. 49ers Bills first look. Get the article back up on the screen. You can go check that out. That is the piece on the San Francisco Standard. And I can answer whatever you need to be answered right now. You're asking Shanahan and Allen said the finger injury doesn't affect his play. So why are you asking the question then? You're asking why did he start an injured Allen over a healthy Dobbs? Well, because the finger injury didn't affect Brandon Allen's play. Brandon Allen won a quarterback competition over Josh Dobbs. It's not like the 49ers just decided to do this, woke up and said, oh, we're going to start Brandon Allen and not Josh Dobbs. They went through an entire quarterback competition, and Brandon Allen beat out Josh Dobbs. So Brandon Allen was named the starter. The 49ers deemed that the finger injury did not hurt Brandon Allen. He was throwing just fine in this game. It was more an issue of pocket presence. So I think you just answered your own question by saying that they said that the finger injury did not affect his play. This is way too complicated of a question to ask. I talk about it on every show. I mean, you have to conglomerate all of my thoughts from all my shows, even before the 49ers slide this season. I talk about the future. I talk about the salary cap. I talk about where they can make upgrades, guys they can re-sign. That's what a retooled roster would look like. In the NFL, you are constantly retooling. There's no such thing as staying complacent in the NFL, even if you're doing well. I mean, last year, the 49ers kicked ass, right? They had a great, great team last year. They still had to retool the roster. They're going to have to retool it in a different way moving forward into 2025. But you just have to play through this season, and then you're going to have time to make those moves. It's not free agency now. The draft isn't here yet. Right now, it's time to play. You compete, your game out, you evaluate, and then you figure out where you're at when the dust settles after this season. So no reason to put the cart in front of the horse right now. Salvador thinks the Bills are going to destroy the 49ers. Hey, spoiler alert, I'm picking the Bills to win too. I think it's going to be extremely hard. And I just don't even know if Brock Purdy is going to play. There's just so much confusion right now and uncertainty with the 49ers who have dealt with so much. But guess what? As Christian McCaffrey said, and it's in the bottom of my article, it's the last quote right here. We're just going to keep chopping wood. That's all we can do. Amen. That's all the 49ers can do. Joseph says, why does no one recognize missing 1,300 receiving yards with Brandon Ayuk out? He provided spacing for everybody else. Yeah, I mean, 2023 Brandon Ayuk did. This year's Brandon Ayuk was really struggling. So I think that, you could trace a lot of the 49ers problems back to the holdout, unfortunately, because that derailed a lot of how they operate offensively. But yes, that is a big loss. Separation way down. That was one of the reasons behind it. So was Christian McCaffrey's injury. All right. I have to leave. I have to board a flight. Happy Thanksgiving to everybody. Let's be thankful for this little private room at the SFO airport. Good for the show. Nice airport. Hopefully it's a good flight. Happy Thanksgiving. Talk to you soon.